I would like to thank Tom for joining us today on Supernatural Sunday for Cornerstone. Can you tell us about the First Nations perspective of Sasquatch?
Well, we're here in Stanley Park at the world famous totem pole structures, and number one, we don't call them totem poles, ʼwakw from northeastern Vancouver Island, my tribe. My name's Thomas Sewid and I'm a member of the Kwakwa tribe from northeastern Vancouver Island. Our tribe, since the dawn of our creation, has told stories and passed it down about the Sasquatch. We call it ʼwakw. The wild woman of the woods is what it's interpreted to be. But in actual fact, if you go to a potlatch, that's a memorial potlatch for a chief who's passed on, and the man who's hosting the memorial potlatch does everything he's supposed to, they'll put a mask on his face and hold it with a mustache of a ʼwakw. And that's the male version of our Sasquatch, known as ʼwakw, of course. But a lot of the books that you read about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and television shows, you'll hear people talk about the Kwakwa or the Kwakwa Indians. That's my tribe. We call ourselves Kwakwa. And they'll say that our Sasquatch is the ʼwakw. No, the ʼwakw is not our Sasquatch. The ʼwakw is a small little hair-covered bipedal creature that's from the spirit world, from the ghost world. It's actually the chief or the head of the ghost world. And they say that when someone makes a mistake and drowns and they die, their spirit goes to the ghost world where the ʼwakw keeps them forever. They made a mistake. They didn't read the weather. They didn't think about how far that distance was. They were going to try to swim and they drowned. So they made a mistake. And I guess their punishment, is they go to the ghost world where the ʼwakw is. So the ʼwakw is not our Sasquatch. And I want to have that corrected so people understand that ʼwakw, the male and the female versions. And you can see the male ones here in Vancouver. You can go to the Museum of Anthropology at the University of British Columbia, and you'll see a display case filled with ʼwakw masks. And you'll notice some of them with the mustache, and some of them even have a goatee. And that's the male version of our Sasquatch, ʼwakw. And then, of course, like Stanley Park here behind this building, there's the big poles carved, and it's world famous. And people come to it to get pictures and video and just look in awe at the beautiful creations that the native artists have done through the decades. But they don't realize that two of the poles have ʼwakw. One of them is a squatting one with outstretched arms and puckered lips, like that, and sleepy eyes and large breasts, and that's the female Sasquatch. And with the outstretched arms, the artist is signifying that if that was a memorial pole carved for a chief, it would say to everyone that his wealth and power could be felt around the world. And being at the base of the pole, it's the most powerful position because that crest will carry the weight of every crest above it on a pole. So unlike you read in books or hear on television, when you hear the reference to someone being on top of a totem pole, they're very important. To the Kwakwa tribe, the base is the most powerful position, and that pole over there has a ʼwakw with outstretched arms at the bottom at the most powerful position. Over to the left of it, there's another pole, and I think it's the second character up. You see that ʼwakw holding its belly, puckered up lips, sleepy eyes, and that's another female Sasquatch, the ʼwakw. And it's our most valuable crest to have, and you often see it on poles. You can go to Vancouver Island, which has the highest concentration of wood carvings done by natives of ʼwakw in the world, Sasquatch. You can go to Seattle, to Occidental Square, and there's a ʼwakw welcoming pole standing there with a mustache, but it also has breasts. I guess the artist mixed both elements up on that one, but that's a ʼwakw. You go to the Seattle Art Museum, and when you walk into the West Coast Native exhibit, you'll see two house posts carved from cedar trees, and they have ʼwakws at the base. And when you go to the University of Washington, to the Burke Museum, outside there's a ʼwakw pole holding above its head the shape of a kwakwa, a copper. And I think that's a ridicule pole, from what I understand. But it just shows you that the Pacific Northwest probably has the highest concentration of Sasquatches in the world. But the native people have been talking about it since the dawn of our creations. The Kwakwa have the ʼwakw, the Sasquatch, as the highest ranked, most valuable crest to have. And the way you acquired a crest was back in the day, they would arrange marriages. And when you married a family and your son was going to marry that family's daughter of a chief, the families would negotiate to get dowry payment so they could acquire crests, hunting areas, harvesting rights, and so forth. And that's how they acquired the crest. The original family would retain it still, but it would be passed in dowry. And that's how the families would fill their gildas, their symbolic box of treasure, which every ʼwakw family has, filled with all of the crests, the stories, the songs, the masks, the right to display it, the right to bring it to life and dance and song in our great ceremonies referred to as potlatch. And if you go to the potlatches to this day, if you ever go by a ceremonial big house known as Kilksea in Campbell River, Alert Bay, Guilford Village, Kinkum, Comox, and all of a sudden, in Campbell River, all of a sudden you see the parking lot filled with cars. Smoke coming through the smoke hole of that beautiful ceremonial house with a painted house front of different crests. Go up to the door. It'll open eventually by the attendants, and they'll say, "Kela Khasla, welcome, come in." And you go inside and you see these great house posts and beams, all beautifully carved, with that central fire and all the drummers sitting around a hollow cedar log. They'll start beating on it with wooden batons. That house will rumble like an earthquake. And in deep baritone song, they'll bring to life a legend in song. And upon those floors, like it's been for thousands of years, you will see the family open their gildas, a symbolic box of treasure. And you will see the tonach being danced.
Cornerstone Supernatural would like to thank Thomas Sewid for appearing on this episode. You can hear more of his stories from Sasquatch Island on YouTube.